Welcome to this week's Parks Minute. Registration is currently taking place for youth football and cheerleading programs. These programs are open to boys and girls ages 7 to 12 with age determined by the participant's age as of August the 31st, 2009. The cost to participate in cheerleading is $35, while the cost to participate in football is $55. Scholarships are available upon request. For more information on registration and playing locations, visit the park's website or call 288-2919. Grab your lawn chair and blanket, pack a picnic dinner, and join us at Ecton Park for Big Band and Jazz. This free concert will be held from 7 to 8:30 p.m. every Tuesday evening through August the 18th. Rick Cook and Friends will be the musical entertainment for the July 7th concert. The Southland Jamboree will be held at 7 p.m. on Tuesday evenings through September the 1st on the lawn area adjacent to Collins Bowling Lanes. Lawn chairs or blankets should be brought for seating. The entertainment for the July 7th Bluegrass concert will be provided by Blue Ties of Grass. Beat the heat during the park's Summer Pool Fun Days. Held from noon to 3 p.m. weekly throughout the summer, this event will feature a different theme each fun day, games, prizes, and plenty of fun. Activities are free with your paid admission to the pool. The July 8th Fun Day will be held at Berry Hill Pool and will be a neighborhood pool party. The July 10th event will be held at the Castlewood Pool and the theme is a beach blast. Pack your brown bag dinner and come out to McConnell Springs for their History to Chew On series. This event will take place from 6 to 8 p.m. on Thursday, July the 9th. This event is free, but registration is requested as seating is limited. This month's presentation will be on trolley cars of Lexington. For more information or to register, call McConnell Springs at 225-4073. Join us on Saturday, July the 11th in Woodland Park near the gazebo for Prana in the Park. This free body movement series will be held at 9 a.m. on Saturday mornings through September the 20th. This Saturday's class will be Kwai Gong. Bring a yoga mat or a beach towel. Join the staff of Raven Run and search the forest and meadows for beautiful dragonflies and butterflies. Learn to identify many common species and hear about insect folklore. This free program will take place at 2 p.m. on Saturday, July the 11th. That's this week's Parks Minute. For more information, visit the park's website at www.lexingtonky.gov.
On the meeting agenda, a busy week for council as they conclude business this week before taking their summer break. As you take a look at the rundown, remember you can view complete listings of upcoming urban county meetings and events by going to the city's website, lexingtonky.gov.
Secretary would be Mike Owens. Vice Chair would be Carolyn Richardson. And Chair would be Frank Penn. I'll entertain a motion or open the floor for other nominations.
Mr. Chairman, I move the nomination cease and the slate be elected by acclamation.
All those in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Mr. Penn, congratulations.
Ed, you didn't get, as parliamentarian, you didn't get a second on that motion.
Can I have a second to the motion we just approved? Okay, it's been second. Okay.
Well, thank you all. I don't think you know what you've done here, but you'll just have to live with whatever it is. If you all will bear with me, we'll get through the first one or two of these, and this is a little different than baling hay, and that's what I was doing about 2 hours ago. So, approval of minutes. You have some minutes for you from the June 11th meeting. Are there any corrections or additions to those minutes? If not, do I hear a motion that we approve them as presented?
Mr. Chairman, I'll move for the approval of the minutes from June 11th, 2009.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Postponements and withdrawals. Rory.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. Page 1, item 1. This is Plan 2008-71P, Hampton Springs. Request an indefinite postponement.
Anybody in the audience need to speak to that? All right. What's the will of the commission?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion for Plan 2008-71, indefinite postponement.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Not all approved, say aye. All opposed, like sign. So moved.
On page 2, under final subdivision plans, Plan 2008-76F, Bogey Estate Lot 1, request a 1-month postponement to the August 13th hearing.
Is there anybody in the audience that came to speak to this motion? If not, what's the pleasure of the commission?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we accept the proposal for postponement for Plan 2008-76F.
Motion been made and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. Been postponed to August the 13th.
And on page 4, under development plans, item B, DP 2009-34, Beaumont Farm, Unit 1, Section 1, request a 1-month postponement to August 13th.
Anybody in the audience here to speak to that motion? If not, what's the pleasure of the planning commission?
Mr. Chairman, I move for postponement of DP 2009-34, Beaumont Farm, for 1 month.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. It's postponed to August the 13th.
Thank you.
Thank you, Roy. Any other postpones, withdrawals? Mr. Barlow?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to postpone under...
Would you state your name for the record, please?
John Barlow, Barlow Homes.
Thank you.
Thanks. I'd like to postpone under preliminary plans. Looks like DP 2009-27, Ramsey Sullivan. On page 4, I'm sorry.
Page.
Is that correct, Bill?
That's right.
We would ask for a 2-week postponement.
You want a 2-week postponement of DP 2009-27, John, Mr. Barlow?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And do we have a date on that?
Yes, sir. It'd be your July 23rd meeting.
Excuse me, we asked for a 1-month postponement on that one.
So that's on August 13th then?
Yes, sir.
Okay, sir. So you're asking for a 1-month postponement of DP 2009-27, which is located 2663 and 2671 Kearney Ridge Boulevard. That's correct, Mr. Barlow?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I'm trying to find the other development. On page 5, DP 2009-45, Ramsey Sullivan, we would ask for a 2-week postponement.
Let's take these. Let's take these one at a
Yeah, I'm
time
sorry,
if we're going to
excuse
do it with the 2 weeks in the month. So let's take the DP 2009-27, which has been offered to postpone to August the 13th. Is there anybody in the audience that needs to speak to that? If not, the chair will entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, move postponement of DP 2009-27 for 1 month.
There's been a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. August 13th, Mr. Barlow.
Thank
All
you.
right, sir.
Next one.
Yes, sir.
DP 2009-45, Ramsey Sullivan. We ask for a 2-week postponement, please.
Mr. Sally, that's July the what?
That's July the 23rd.
Okay. Anybody in the audience needs to speak to that motion or request? Chair will entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'll move for postponement of DP 2009-45 until the July 23rd, 2009 meeting.
Motion been made and seconded. All those in favor say aye. All opposed? It's postponed to the July 23rd meeting.
Yes, sir, thank you. And then on page 2, under final subdivision plans, plans 2009-39, we would request a 2-week postponement on that, please.
Anybody in the audience need to speak to that one? If not, the chair will entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'll move for postponement of Plan 2009-39F for 2 weeks until July 23rd, 2009.
Motion been made and seconded. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, like sign. It's postponed to July 23rd.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Mr. Barlow. Any other postponements or withdrawals? Okay, then we'll move on to the consent agenda. Is that right, Mr.?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, that would be no discussion, subdivision and development plans. On your consent agenda, there are 4 items on your meeting agenda that do qualify for consideration today on your consent agenda. First item appears on page 3 of your meeting agenda, item C, an amended final record plat, Plan 2009-60F, Ramsey Sullivan, Unit 3, Section 2, lots 21 through 28 amended. This is a plan that's been recommended for conditional approval by your subdivision committee for property at 2509 through 2516 Kittens Joy Circle. There is another final subdivision plan recommended for reapproval by your subdivision committee, which qualifies. It is the next item on your meeting agenda, page 3, item D, Plan 2005-330F, South Hill Gardens. This is a final plat for property at 408, 426 South Mill Street, and 421 through 437 Lawrence Street. There are also 2 final development plans that qualify for consideration on your consent agenda. First is on page 4, item C of your meeting agenda, DP 2009-44, a final development plan for General Telephone Company of Kentucky, Lot 2, for property located at 3695 Nicholasville Road. The final item that qualifies is the final development plan on your agenda, appearing on page 5, item F, DP 2009-46, Beaumont Farm, Unit 1, Section 5, Lot 2. That is item E. That is a typo on your consent agenda, page 5, item E. This is a final development plan for property at 956 Midnight Pass. Mr. Chairman, these 4 items can be considered by the Commission at this time on your consent agenda, unless there is an item that either a member of the audience or a member of the Planning Commission would like to have discussed further.
First, let me ask, is there anybody in the audience that wants to pull this off and have a hearing?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we'd like to have DP 2009-46 Beaumont Farm, Unit 1, Section 5, Lot 2 discussed.
All right, sir. Anybody else? How about on the commission? Anybody on the commission have an item you want pulled off the consent agenda for a hearing? If not, the chair will entertain a motion to accept the items on the consent agenda, pulling off DP 2009-46, and we'll vote on the other 1, 2, 3 items.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we accept the consent agenda as written with the exception of the last item, page 5, item E, DP 2009-46.
Motion been made and seconded. Is there any discussion? If not, chair will entertain the vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign. Okay, that's done the consent agenda. Then I guess we'll go right ahead, Chris. Mr. Sally.
Just going to say we'll prepare to present the plan to you in just a moment.
Thank you. Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, members of the Commission, the only item remaining on your agenda is on page 5, DP 2009-46, Beaumont Farm, Unit 1, Section 5, Lot 2. This is a final development plan for property located at 956 Midnight Pass. The property is located at the center of Beaumont Center Circle. The Kroger store is on the north end on Monarch Street, just to the north. To the south is the Midnight Pass and the other commercial closer to Harrodsburg Road. Adjacent to the west, you see the approved and partially constructed townhouse development that is directly adjacent to this proposal. This proposal is to build an amphitheater with associated storage, dressing rooms, and concession buildings on the site. The required parking for the site is planned to be handled off-site in the adjacent P1 developments as those parcels come in. The applicant has filed to go to the Board of Adjustment for the conditional use on this property. This amphitheater use is a conditional use in this zone, so they have a hearing scheduled for the Board of Adjustment to handle that application, as well as variances to allow their required parking to be greater than the 300 feet from the use that the ordinance allows. They are asking that to be varied to 1,000 feet so that they can utilize more of the off-site parking from the adjacent P1 businesses. The subdivision committee at their last meeting recommended approval subject to 20 conditions that you see on your agenda. The majority of those are cleanup conditions. Some of the remainder ones, such as denoting the Board of Adjustment approval, the conditional use and the dimensional variances, through that Board of Adjustment process, they will be handling some of the resolve issues that you see at the bottom, such as parking locations, and even topics such as lighting, screening, buffering can come up as a part of that hearing discussing the conditional use application. So part of that resolve will be taken care of through that process as well. The other ways we typically handle lighting and things like that are with a note, typically through conditional zoning. You see it often about how the lights to be directed and things like that from the residential use. The remaining sidewalk resolution number 18. If you look at the copy of an email I placed at your place, it was from our pedestrian planner around the time of our technical committee meeting to the applicant's engineer stating some of her goals for the pedestrian facilities for this site. That condition had not been resolved as of technical committee, and what I believe Ms. Gleason is. Just do it from here. She's asked for a sidewalk that connects from Monarch Street through the development into this location, as well as one that takes you out to Midnight Pass at this location. Their revised submission, as you can see, provided that sidewalk location down to Midnight Pass. The remainder of the sidewalk connecting, if you'll move it back down just a little bit, a little further, either utilizing the existing sidewalk that comes off Midnight Pass to serve or off Monarch Street to serve the townhouses, either coming in, taking it down to there, or following along their access drive there. That was, according to Ms. Gleason's email to Rory, what she was looking for at this location. And we were hoping that would resolve the condition that you see on your agenda. I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have about this. Not fully, no. It addresses, correct, yes. Let me take a look. There was an incorrect reference to an ordinance in there that's been corrected. Yeah.
So we need to do away with number 8?
We did not provide a list of revised conditions, given that this plan was eligible for the consent agenda. Some of these items have been addressed. They're fine to stay on here at this time rather than to go off and.
So you'd rather leave it on?
For now, yes.
Okay. Any other questions? Mike?
Chris, the dotted lines there you were referring to, those are what Kinsey Gleason's suggestions?
Yes.
One or the other?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Any further questions? Thank you. Petitioner.
Mr. Chairman, members of the Commission, I'm Rory Cayley with EA Partners. In the audience is Tim and Andy Haymaker, the developers of the Beaumont area. And item 18 is the reason we wanted to discuss this. We had received Kenzie's email from TRC at the subdivision committee meeting. We presented this plan. We thought we had worked out the sidewalk or the pedestrian access situations. The service road, loading, unloading, that comes off of Monarch up to the back of the amphitheater is going to be concrete or asphalt. It's going to be 16 feet wide, and it will be blocked off at Monarch Street. Similar to the walking trails they have in Beaumont, they've got bollards up to stop vehicular access. That will only be opened up during the loading and unloading of whatever shows they may be putting on. During the concert and as people are coming and going, that will be strictly pedestrian use. We thought it was rather redundant to have 16 feet of usable asphalt and then be asked to add more sidewalk in that connection. And the Haymakers here answer any questions you may have about the facility, and I guess I'll try to answer any questions you may have of me.
Roy, just again, I think I understand that you've added the sidewalk that she was requesting to the bottom of this plan.
Yes.
Correct?
Down to Midnight
The
Pass.
top is, it's redundant because you're going to have a road that's not going to be used except for loading and unloading.
Yes.
That will be available for pedestrian. It covers the same space that Kenzie was requesting?
Yes.
Okay.
Mr. Holmes?
I was just trying to get some clarification. Can you show me, is there a sidewalk running along the path, or what are you referring to? I guess that's what I'm trying to get a hand.
At the top of the drawing, what you see is the stippled area is the service loading and unloading. And they've requested another sidewalk or a separate sidewalk either adjacent to this pavement or to run over closer to the townhomes. We would like to not be bringing pedestrian traffic up closer to the townhomes, so it seems redundant to put a sidewalk right next to a service drive, which is going to be blocked off and used for pedestrians during the functions. And that's what we presented as subdivision committee, and since then I found out that would not resolve Kenzie's sign-off, so that's why we're here.
Really, I am more or less reporting on the condition of one of our sign-offs. The staff would support our technical committee members in their request for certain sign-off items, though I can't speak to her rationale. I didn't see Ms. Gleason sitting back there.
Yeah, let's let her come forward.
Sorry
please.
about that. I didn't know she was here.
Let's hear it from the person that wrote the memo.
Good afternoon. When I first reviewed
Excuse me, please. Would you tell us your name, please?
My name is Kenzie Gleason. I'm the bicycle and pedestrian planner here at LFUCG. There are a few of you that I haven't had the pleasure of meeting just yet, but I hope to in the very near future. When I first reviewed this plan, my original primary concern, of course, was not just access to the site itself, but access through the site as well, from Monarch Street to Midnight Pass. And it seemed desirable to have a direct pedestrian connection through that area, designated pedestrian connection that's visibly, that provides a very visual clue that this is intended for pedestrian access. In addition, my concern is that the high number of pedestrian traffic through this area will coincide with the special events when those, the service drive will be most heavily in use. So there may be different trucks and staging areas, staging activities going on in that vicinity. I imagined kids and children and families walking to the event, and whether it would be clear where the pedestrian access areas were versus the vehicular access areas. So that was primarily my 2 points and feelings for the need for a designated pedestrian facility through this section.
Any questions for Ms. Gleason? Mike?
Yeah. Where do you think that people are going to walk when they go through there? I mean, they're not going to go over and walk on a little sidewalk. They're going to walk down that drive aisle. I'm just wondering if maybe they could paint a pedestrian linkage on the service road instead of adding one beside it.
That may be a compromise that had not occurred to me to this point.
Or could you do different treatments of sidewalk versus the remainder of it? You know, one could be maybe pavers.
You mean pavement materials? Yes, that also seems that could be appropriate. Some sort of distinction between this is the vehicular use area and this is the pedestrian use area. And also, the area that curves around the back where those vehicles may be clustered and parked, what is the appropriate pedestrian path that needs to remain open to foot traffic through that section?
The assumption is that there is sidewalks on Monarch that would connect to that. Is that correct? Okay.
Correct.
So connectivity is the issue.
Right. If you look at the blow up of the area, there's a very direct path. For instance, people not just going to this destination, but walking from the neighborhoods near the Beaumont, the spur that goes up towards Man of War, to the shops and the restaurants that are on the Beaumont Center Parkway to the south of the circle. Pedestrians like the shortest distance between 2 points, and this is a very direct north to south connection through that circle.
Mike?
Ms. Gleason, so it's your understanding, I believe it's everybody's understanding, that this will be open to pedestrian traffic, in essence, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week?
That's my understanding.
Not just for usage of the feature or center itself?
Correct.
Okay. Thank you.
I had one more question. The remainder, I'm not sure whether the remainder side, where's the connection to, if we didn't put that sidewalk in there, how does it connect with the remainder of that little circle there? If you were to the south, are there connectivities?
Is this on? Yes. I'm sorry, can you help direct me? Okay. Monarch Street has sidewalks coming down through this area. So over on this map, this is a sidewalk here shown in red. This green area does not have a designated sidewalk as drawn currently, other than the vehicular access. There's a sidewalk around the central feature and then leading south from the central feature that connects to the sidewalks here on Midnight Pass.
Any further questions?
I have a question for Mr. Cayley.
Okay.
I may have misunderstood, but did I not understand in both subdivision committee meeting and here that you were going to put bullards up so that traffic could not get in and out of that,
Yes.
during the performances,
event,
and that most places would be, if you were having a performance there, would the trucks have done all of their deliveries prior to the attendance of the pedestrians coming to?
Yeah, we would certainly hope they were set up before people started showing up. And it will be open 24 hours, and the bollards, anyone who's been in the Beaumont trail system, this is what they do wherever they have a trail come to a street. It's 16 feet of concrete and asphalt. I think people know where to walk if they want to get from point A to point B. Behind the stage is designed the handicap accessibility ramp as well, so they can, it leads right to it. It's all interconnected. It's a straight shot through the site. The site was chosen, I guess we started this in 2005 with the zone change, whereas you come in off of Man of War backside or off of Harrisburg, either way the main drives line up this way, and you see, instead of putting buildings and stuff, you see across this, you'll see a amphitheater roof line and the green areas out in front and in back. We'd like to keep as much green as possible.
Okay. Mike?
Mr. Cagley, you said you would hope that the trucks would get in prior to pedestrian traffic and so forth, but you can't guarantee that. Or can you? Sure.
I saw your reaction. I apologize. My name's Tim Haymaker. I'm the developer, and we'll be building this. I saw your reaction of might. I can assure you we can write a program in our policy book that will, if you don't want vehicles to be there, they won't be there. The only reason that they'll be there will be to unload equipment, musical equipment, or we have an enormous amount of interest, and some of these things may be plays or something. We have a building that is intended, has a roll-up door so that vehicles can come up, unload everything into that little building, and then move. And I can require them, and don't mind having that as a condition, I can require them not to park there during the events. I'd be happy to do that. And I will say something about surface. I think we've pretty much decided that we want to have this as an all smooth concrete surface as opposed to varying surfaces, because at the time that the absolute adjacent office building is built, which is not sold, there's nothing going on there right now, but at that time that's where we will dedicate for handicap parking to access the amphitheater. And our concern is people on canes or walkers or something, if you have differing surfaces. We even talked about, washed pebble and stuff, and we just decided that we just need to have a smooth surface back there so that we don't have to worry about people tripping or stumbling for some reason. The people in Beaumont, we have 2.5 miles of walking trails, and they are very familiar, at least those folks, with the bollard systems. And these are black pipes with a big gold horse head on the top of them. They're locked at the bottom, and you can't take them up unless you have a key. And we have to have that on the walking trail so that they can mow. And in this situation, we just need it for deliveries and the dumpster, for the guy to get in to get the dumpster. And otherwise, it will always be locked. And there will be 100% accessibility. In the other picture that was up there, that is a sidewalk that goes 100% around this entire circle. So this will be direct connectivity. We just think that for aesthetic purposes, having a sidewalk beside a road is a little bit overkill, and it just takes up more of our green space. We have very little there.
Chairman?
Any other questions? Patrick?
One comment. I would agree. I think given everything that I've seen here, there's no need to put in another sidewalk. I think the option that was floated that seemed to be acceptable to Ms. Gleason was maybe painting something on there that designates side or pedestrian walkway. Is that a problem from your all's perspective?
As long as it's tastefully done. I mean, I don't know how we would do it. Up on our trails, we do have pedestrian use only, like a bronze sign with black background and bronze lettering says pedestrian use only. I mean, I can do whatever you all feel compelled to do, but I'd like to make it artfully tasteful.
And so would we. Yeah, we're not trying to get you to do something that would be ugly, but I think there's no need to put another sidewalk, and I think Ms. Gleason has agreed to that with the conditions that you've already discussed. One of the items was floated with just painting something there that said that. So if that's acceptable or something similar, I would have no problem approving this.
Any other questions for Mr. Haymaker or for Marie?
I'm coming up to speed on this, so could you talk about noise, because there is residential development out there?
We will have this is a not-for-profit entity that will run this, and that not-for-profit entity will be my son Andy and myself and our assistant, who does, frankly, most of the paperwork for this. And, somebody always has to do all the work. Our goal is to do nothing but to break even on this. These are sodded areas, they're landscaped areas, they're irrigated. We have large crowds of people, which could be 500 to 700, or maybe even some events 1,000 people. We need to have enough money to make this work. Okay. So we've been very cautious in how we have done this, and we've worked in harmony with the townhouse people. Long before we sold them the townhouse lots, they knew all about what we were doing. They have a placard in their sales office showing that this is part of it. I met last night with the developer, Mike Warner, and one of the things that I suggested, because I too am a little concerned that I don't want there to be either light or noise pollution for those folks, and I suggested that we use Leland cypress, which is a very fast-growing, great tree. And frankly, they haven't given me the final answer, and they will before we go to Board of Adjustment. They weren't so interested in that. They were, one, concerned that they had sold it as being able to sit on your front porch and watch the events. And secondly, they were concerned that maybe people would congregate in there at night because it was surrounded by thick bushes and trees, and that they preferred to have the openness. Saves us quite a bit of money to do it that way. We were more than happy to do it with these beautiful trees. We will have a policy that will say during the weekdays performances have to end at 10 o'clock and 11 o'clock on the weekends. Now, I have to tell you that how to manage that, I can't guarantee you that if it starts raining and there's a 15-minute postponement and there's a 2-hour show, it's going to happen. And I've explained that to some of the folks there in that neighborhood, that it may be 10:15 one night. But it's not going to be rock bands, and it's not going to be any type of obnoxious. I mean, I own a lot of the stuff out there. I have a financial interest that it not be anything obnoxious. And the city came to us and asked for us to put in a wood floor, Parks and Rec, so they could maybe move Ballet with the Stars or whatever that's called there. And we've done that, and we've tried to accommodate a lot of different people. Everett McCorvey's been a tremendous asset to us in helping to come up with how to do this. We will do everything we can, but we're not really there for rock bands. That's not our forte. We're not interested in that. And that's why we want to have private ownership so that we can control those things and it doesn't gradually get out to be a political thing. We've met with LexArts. We have lots of things on the agenda, but they're of high quality, I would like to suggest. Now, not everybody likes the same kind of music, so that may be debatable. Banjo may not fit somebody and a fiddle another, but...
What will be your seating capacity maximum?
We'll find out when we set the people in it the first time. But what we did is we did a study, and we took like 9 square feet per person for like seating with lawn chairs. Now, when you have people bringing lawn chairs, you lose efficiency because one may put it 4 inches away and the other's 3 feet away. I can't answer it to you exactly, but something in the neighborhood of a maximum of 1,000 people.
So we need 400 car parking spaces. Do we have it?
Well, there's a, you want to? Yeah.
That is part of the discussion that will take place via the Board of Adjustment.
Oh, okay.
That parking and how that's going to be worked out in those statistics. And as such, it will be related here. The way they've done it now is a little bit different based on nightclub square footage, and we want to make those two things jive from the BOA to this plan. So all of that, I mean, it does come after your approval necessarily, but that should be addressed through their process.
I would suggest to you that the current 3 buildings that are built there have approximately 350 parking spaces. There are additionally 4 professional office lots that should have, they're the same size lots as the other place, so they should have, I would easily think that we will have 1,000 parking spots. Our purpose, though, is to get them away from the front side of that area because that's the retail. And the retail will want to prosper at night. And so you don't want to have the cars parked up front. So we want to force the issue for them to park into those parking lots in the back. We feel as though, I mean, when you look at a situation like Ecton Park, my office building's only 1,000 feet away from the place. And we've had a couple of the insurance companies that say, you'll never get us through our legal department, but you can park there. So we do have written easements, by the way, from these other people that we are allowed to park there.
Thank you for being here.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Haymaker.
Mr. Haymaker, yes.
Yes.
One, I appreciate the efforts in this. I'm looking forward to it myself. My only concern, as we discussed, was the sidewalk issue. If we leave this as written, resolve sidewalks, you working with Ms. Gleason, I'm interested in seeing something designated, not necessarily sidewalk itself, but something designated for pedestrians, just as you said, so that somebody on a walker or a cane or baby stroller being pushed doesn't have to get out of the way of a truck at some point in time. Something that's designated, I'm happy with it.
I will tell you that the policy will be that, I don't know, some number of hours before the show, we will lock those bollards and allow nobody in there. I can make that commitment to you.
Yeah, I would just add to that, based on what Mike was saying, that I would like to see some approval or sign-off from Ms. Gleason on something that's acceptable in terms of a multi-use for pedestrians and vehicular.
I think both of our goals are the same. I don't think we'll have any trouble getting together.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Rory, are you through? Rory, are you through? Any rebuttal? Anybody in the audience? If not, then we'll close this discussion and we'll take it under advisement of the commission.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
I move for approval of DP 2009-46.
Second. Yeah.
And just for clarification, you want to leave number 18 the way it's written? Okay, I just want everybody to understand what we're voting on here now. All right, sir. Is there any? That's what I was asking.
I'm happy to amend it. My understanding is that the two parties agreed that this was resolved or was to be resolved. So what, do we need further sign-off on that? Or
what we might do is just allow Ms. Gleason to sign off on the sidewalk situation, and then, I'm just making a suggestion here. Is that what you're thinking, Mr.
Mr. Chairman, is your only sign-off that he build the sidewalk, or are you open to?
I think that I'm open to some of the ideas that have been presented here today.
Okay, so you're not going to insist that he build the sidewalk?
No.
Yes, and we've got
as long as we can address, I think, a clearly designated pedestrian area, adjacent to or within that vehicular use area, I think that's okay.
All right. So, Mr. Chairman, if it would clarify things, I believe that we have Ms. Gleason sign off on number 5
right
already. I'm happy to amend my motion to delete 18.
Is that the will of the commission? Okay, then we'll take that under advisement. If it's the will of the commission, we'll delete 18 and we'll refer to number 5. Any further discussion? Did we get a second on that motion? Yes, I second. Okay. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor of DP 2009-46, Unit 1, Lot 5, as presented, deleting number 18, say aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign. Motion passes. Thank you, Mr. Haymaker. Mr. Sally, do we have any other thing to come before us?
Mr. Chairman, the only other subdivision item appears on the bottom of page 5, bonds and letters of credit. I believe that a memorandum has been distributed from Ron St. Clair in the engineering department.
All right. You all have that at your station. I don't have one here, so I'll depend on you all to look at that and bring a motion. I need a motion to call the bonds and release.
Mr. Chairman, I'll move for call of bonds and release of them as stated on the memorandum.
Is there a second? Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Opposed, like sign. So moved. there any staff items or commission items?
I don't believe there are any commission items unless a commission member has something they want to bring up. I was just going to mention a couple of things very briefly. That's all right.
Please.
I want to remind everybody of the work session next Thursday. One of the things we're going to be talking about are these screens that you've seen in front of you here for well over a year now, and the possibility of using these with the Planning Commission's hearings. We think we can lead into an improved and more efficient way of doing minutes and records of the hearing, and well, that'll be one of the items we'll be talking about, and we have a couple other text amendment type items already identified that we'll be talking with you about. The other thing I wanted to mention, I'm very pleased to report that the Urban County Council suspended its rules before it went on break and enacted the packet of infill and redevelopment text amendments that you had forwarded to them and recommended, and also asked the staff to present them an independent presentation of the summary of those, which we did this last week, and they were very well received. And they are very excited to see what's coming in round 4.
That's great.
So are we. It was a very, very good thing.
Go ahead, Joan.
Could you all put on these meeting dates when the next meeting that we have with the committee?
The joint meeting, yes. I apologize. We should do that. Thank you.
I might report that we did have a meeting with them, what was that, last Tuesday, Chris?
Yes.
Very productive meeting, and really, I think, Chris, you probably ought to elaborate on what we covered and why.
We had at the joint meeting between the Planning Commission and the Urban County Council's Planning Committee, and some folks from the council that weren't even on the Planning Committee came to that meeting. It was a very well-attended session, and we covered two main topics. First one being University of Kentucky's campus plans for housing and other things, and how it fits in with the bigger vision for the city and the area around campus. It was a very good presentation by Bob Wiseman, and a very productive question and answer session. Good communication on that score. The other thing we talked about was a primer on form-based codes and the possibility of a form-based code program for Lexington and Fayette County, Kentucky, and what it would take to do that. That was also a very well-received presentation. We've had a lot of follow-up questions from council and others, and look forward to continuing that conversation as well. They've asked for more information from us for the next time we meet, which I believe is September. I have the date here.
29th, I think.
September 29th, Tuesday, September 29th at 9 a.m. in the library, and I think we've already booked the basement. The other time it was taken by the time we got to them. And, the good news was that it was a little cozy up there because we had such a great turnout.
Well, and I would encourage all the Planning Commission members to attend this. These meetings have evolved, and I think the staff will agree with us, from a get-to-know-you session to a session that I would characterize as how do we move forward on a unified basis, and how do we make some of these policy decisions that everybody's on the same page of why we're trying to do what we're going to do. And those of us that were there, I think, will agree that if we're going to do infill and do it right, we've got to have the council's input the same as ours. And I'm very hopeful that this can go forward. We've scheduled this on a quarterly basis, and I hope we can continue to do this. And as long as they're productive meetings, people will attend. As soon as they quit attending, the meetings aren't productive. So they'll tell us which way we're going. Any other staff items, Chris?
No, sir.
Are there any items in the audience? Well, I don't see any. But I would say before we adjourn that, excuse me, Mike, go right ahead. I thought you were leaving.
I swear I was paying attention when John Barlow was up here getting these
excuse
items.
me just a minute.
My name's Mike Robbins. I'm from Foster Rowland Incorporated. And John Barlow and I were in here together, and I noticed that several of his things were postponed. When I asked him at the door, I said, what happened to the plan on page 3, 60F, 2009 60F? And he said, well, it was recommended for approval. Well, customarily, I have to go up here and say, I'd like a motion for approval, and I'll agree to these 13 conditions, and that never happened. I was just wondering what happened here. Did I miss something?
It was on the consent agenda.
Okay.
And when we presented the consent agenda, we asked for any comments from the audience.
All right. Well, thank you. All this.
Well, I mean, while you're up here, do you want, you want to tell us anything?
No,
It
just enjoying all this discussion over here.
Thank
Have
you.
a great day. Thank you very
Thank you, Mike. Appreciate it. Before we adjourn, I would like to say to you that for the next year, I think there's a lot of things we can do as a commission, and I hope we'll attend to those. Any of you that have committee assignments that want to change or need to change or whatever, you need to contact me between now and the next couple of weeks, and we'll talk about that. Hopefully we're going to have 3 new ones, well, 2 new ones, and Ms. Phillips that'll be back, and so that'll be more committee assignments. But if you do want to change your committee assignments, let me know. And we obviously got to have on both committees, and so we don't want to stack one too heavy in the other one. Well, I'll work with you on that. At the work session, which I guess, Chris, is next Thursday?
I'm sorry, man?
The work session?
Yes,
next
next
Thursday.
Thursday. Yes,
I have a couple things I want to discuss with us, and just for our information that might make us more efficient in how we do business. But I'll bring those to you at the work session, and I thank you, and I'll entertain a motion to adjourn if there's no other business. All in favor, let's stand up.